on this match day, Thursday, the 4th of December. Now, apologies for yesterday. I did start to do a show yesterday afternoon, but YouTube just absolutely destroyed me yesterday. I then tried to do a show last night, but YouTube absolutely, I don't even know what was wrong, and it absolutely destroyed me. So, yeah, so that's what I've put in. I think is 4 shows today. So we're going to do this presser, which I should have done yesterday, which I did try to do. I'm going to do another show, which I did start yesterday, but we'll do that again today. We'll go through that good stuff as well. Watch along tonight as well, and we'll do a match reaction. So a full day of me. You're going to be absolutely sick of me by the end of the day. So just to make up for yesterday, yeah, we're going to have some good stuff today. So first thing to say is get into this amazing community. I'm obviously biased, and it's not because of me, it's because of you guys. Absolutely amazing community. I think it's the best on here. And look, so get in your opinions, get into the chat. I want to know. Hopefully YouTube is going to behave itself today and we'll have another good show. Second of all, to say, get in there, be respectful to the community, be respectful to yourselves, be respectful to me. Otherwise, the banner hammer comes down and you will get banned. We don't like to do it. So look, we don't mind banter. We do have some amazing rival fans on here, so absolutely fine. I'm not a dictator of this chat, which basically means I genuinely do read out all your chats. This is why this show takes so long. It's because I genuinely do engage with you, and I give you your chats. And look, you know, if I do come back in an opinion, it's not because I think my opinion is better than yours. It's just it sparks off conversation, and that's what this channel ultimately is about. So look, get in. I want to know about what you think the scores are going to be tonight. Let me know about your team. Bruno out, Kobe to start, says Scott. No, yet. Let's talk about that as well. We'll get onto that. We'll get onto that in the press conference bit as well. There's an embargoed section that has come out. So yeah, I want to know about scores. You know, there's been lots of things going on, and again, I've seen so much contradictory stuff coming out today about signings. Yesterday there was no signings yesterday. You know, I tried to do a show yesterday, which I will do this afternoon, about the Glazers and basically you know, what I think about all that sort of stuff. And yes, let's get into the press conference today. So as we said there, let's get on. I'm going to jump a little bit to sort of end of the conference, and as you say there, Scott, we'll talk about the Bruno stuff, and we'll talk about the people that are possibly out. Let's go back into the chat first. So what we got Ahmad. Ahmad did well in training, so did Xerxes, Cunha, Matthias de Ligt, Yoro, Mesraoui, Luke Shaw, Casemiro, Dalot, in Burma. That pretty much the full team that we have. Now, Lucky, I'm gonna say this straight off of the bat. Look, and again, mate, you know, Lucky is a legend of this channel. Training for me doesn't matter whatsoever. We've seen time and time again these players come out, or these training pictures, because they won a match. Suddenly they are all on Instagram, all on whatever they're on, their social media, talking about, you know, these team shots, these winning team shots. I can't stand it. Training to me with this team means absolutely nothing. As I say, I don't like most of these players. You know, I'll try not to go into them too much on a match day, because they simply need support, and that's what I'm going to do begrudgingly, because I know what these players are. So look, respect the comment, but you know, I don't care. Training means nothing, as we've seen all season. They train all week, one game a week, and they come out and they play like the way they do. So training for me means absolutely zero to me. Bruno out and Kobe to start. I bet we played better, says Scott. Leo says 1-0 to United, but what? United, Leo. I love that comment, my friend. And do you know what, Leo? As much as that is, I know it's tongue-in-cheek, right? But I agree with you. We don't know. You know, I said yesterday, or the day before, sorry, that I can't give you a prediction today, because I simply don't know what team is going to come out. You know, we can easily lose 2-1, 2-0, as we could win 4-0. And of course, of Sunderland last night dropping points, Chelsea dropping points as well. Look, we're in a position today whereby, again, I'll take a Crystal Palace again. This is a ridiculously competitive league this year. One I don't think that we're playing particularly okay in, but look, we tonight, and I keep saying this over and over again, is a must win. So can we do it? Scott says 3-1. Talks of the Devil, obviously legend. Bobby, of course, you're a legend, my friend. Legend of the chat. Talks of the Devil says 3-0. If that's your real name. Look, all I'm going to say, and look, guys, I think you're brave. I think you're extremely brave to predict a win tonight. Look, if we're talking about winning tonight, it should be a win, and that's no disrespect to the Hammers. Again, they could come and they could easily win with like how we're playing tonight. They do have I can't remember his name now. They do have Paquetá out as well. So Paquetá is their best player. It doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't mean a lot to West Ham, really. So I think those of you who and Lucky says 4 key West Ham players out, I don't think that matters. I don't really think that matters. I don't really think that matters. We've all seen this side. We've all seen this side before. We've all seen this game before. We've all seen this video before. We all know. What did I miss? Not a lot, my friend. We are going through the game. We're going to talk about this game tonight, and we're going through the scores, and then we'll go through the presser, and then pretty much anything in between in relation to the game. So I'm going to jump around in the press conference tonight. You jump in on the game tonight, Mark. So yeah. Now before I go on to the game itself. So yesterday I played a 5-a-side yesterday. First time I've played football in about 9 years or so. All I'm going to say is I did not disgrace myself. I actually did okay, a lot better than I thought that I would do. So 5-a-side was all good. I come back, looked forward to doing the stream, and YouTube let me down yesterday. So I personally did okay yesterday. So hopefully the boys can do the same as well. We're looking to play tactically on Edison and Bowen. That's why you didn't stream. You was honestly, I came back. Probably not. Football is anonymous and is always taking my game time. 9 years, you're not puking your guts out. It's an achievement. Well, to be fair, all I'm going to say is this: I do run a lot, right? So I do run. I am still fit. I've got a good engine on me. But again, it's really, really difficult. I've not done that sort of sprinting in a while. But look, I'm not going to pretend, that I'm not reasonably fit. I ran 100k in May. I run all the time. So Scott, I was the disruptor, right? Because my engine's pretty good and I'm quite quick over the first 5 to 10 yards. I was mostly in that pivot position. I was a disruptor. Good engine. What's the mileage? I'd hate to think. I would hate to think. Two owners. The engine's all right. The engine's ticking along. So it's not too bad. It's not too bad. So look, JB is a used 78 plate, mate. I'm a used whatever 1983 was. Was it a B? No, it was before an A reg. So I'm probably an old, I don't know, Z reg. Step aside, Believer United, mate. We won as well. We won like 16-5. I scored a couple of goals. as well from deep. I thought use the pace like over the ground. I think I scored 3 or 4 goals last night. It was all right. I was quite impressed. JB, what are your predictions tonight? Okay, so let's get on to those predictions tonight. Somebody's just sent me a message, so give me a second. Get that later. JB, the deep balls. Well, mate, all I'm saying is I do like to go balls deep. I was pretty balls deep in the game. My ball control wasn't the best. I didn't have the right footwear. I slipped all over the shop. You were playing kids. No, I wasn't. I was playing a bunch of old men. I reckon probably age ranges between mid 30s to probably mid 40s. I'm sort of mid 40s as well. But no, it was good. It was good actually. So I didn't. All I'm saying is I didn't disgrace myself. Happy days. Really, really happy with that. Predictions tonight. What am I going to say about predictions tonight? Get yourself some total 90s. I did used to own those. I did own the first pair of Predators as well, by the way. Legendary shoe, total 90s. I love those. I did used to have a pair of those. I love those. They were phenomenal. And what they called the World Cups as well. I did love the old World Cups. JB's mid 16 to 5. So pretty much, mate. Pretty much was a retirement home. T90s was they were. They absolutely were. I used to love those. So legendary boot. What do I predict tonight? Oh, Jesus Christ. I don't know. Scott says, mate, you've got every pair of, or you used to have every pair of boots. I've pretty much got every pair of running trainer in the world. I'm looking at a box over there. I'm looking at a pile over there. I've got just ridiculous amounts of trainers. It's mental. So what do I think? What do I predict tonight? We're used to come out of the traps tonight. No excuses. I agree with you, Bobby. I do agree that I do agree completely that we need to come out of the traps tonight. I do look. The last couple of games we haven't, and we've suffered for it. I think tonight, I think you're absolutely right. I think we need to come out of the traps. Now we did go through the West Ham game. What do we say? We said they're going to be compact again. They're going to be organised. I think they're going to count this on the break. I think they're going to exploit again the gap between the centre backs, the wing backs. We've been saying this all season. Delo, I think, will play tonight, and there's an interesting thing on that as well, which goes to tell you about what Amorim thinks of that. Portuguese friends. So we'll come on to that. So, what do I think the score is going to be tonight? I think it's going to be 2-0, 2-1. I think it's going to be a very, very close game tonight. And when I say close, I mean, I just don't think we're going to play well. I think that West Ham are going to go for a low block. I think they're going to go for that mid to low block, and they're going to encourage us to come onto them, and they may get a break. So I think Bowen tonight, I think is going to, really he should have a really, really quiet night, because I think we're at home, and I think that we should win this game. I think we should absolutely win this game. As it's already been said, West Ham have a lot of players out. So there's no excuses tonight. And I think you're absolutely right. We need to come out hard and fast and put them on the back foot straight away. So we'll see. we'll see. We'll see what's going to come out. So let's get on to players. Let's get on to the injured players. So first part of the conference yesterday, the non-embargoed section, and then you had the embargoed section. It could be that Fernandes and Xerxes, by all accounts, are injured. There is speculation about Fernandes. Amorim said it in the section, or he's not come out and said that. Well, one of the things that he said is he's not going to mention who's out injured because otherwise it may give a team cause to change the tactics. And I'll come on to that with Fernandes in a second. Maguire could have a late fitness test, and Xerxes is the other one that could be out as well. Now, one of the things I wanted to say about Fernandes is this. I've got my opinion on him, and there's the team's opinion. So, the last time Fernandes didn't play, and that's against the Grimsby game, West Ham of Paquetá, Scarles, and Somerville out. Look, are we fortunate this season, right? We've played a couple of games where, the other side have had red cards, played in the midweek. West Ham don't play in the midweeks, but they do have some key players out. Now, if Fernandes is out, so when I say about Bruno Fernandes, and I think we have our opinion, and I think there's a team opinion. So Bruno Fernandes for me. Let's talk about the team first. This team could absolutely capitulate because Bruno Fernandes is not in that team. Now, we see it. I don't think that Bruno Fernandes being out of that team should make a difference at all. However, I think this team will probably, because they see Bruno as a leader, they see Bruno Fernandes as a key player in this squad. I think that Bruno Fernandes tonight could be a miss to the players, could be a miss to the players' psychology. If that is so, it is scary. It is scary. If this team doesn't play well tonight because Bruno Fernandes is not in that team, I've said this before, these are low IQ players, these are low mentality players, and they could absolutely flounder tonight because their captain isn't playing. As we know internally, these players love him. He is their captain. He is the driving force behind the club. So it could be a situation whereby these players actually don't play well because Bruno Fernandes isn't playing. Now, from a viewer's perspective, from my perspective, I don't see Fernandes as a miss tonight. I don't. I see this as an opportunity for Kobbie Mainoo. If Liverpool last night again weren't great. What do I think tonight? I think if this team is going to progress, and we're going to see if Bruno Fernandes doesn't play, are we going to be more free, or are we going to play freer? I don't think Bruno Fernandes being out is a bad thing. Again, for those of you who are Kobbie Mainoo, I was shocked if he leaves him out. I think that Bruno Fernandes, even if he's half fit, will play. Chelsea got battered. They did by Leeds. So if Bruno Fernandes is out, in my opinion, it is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to see how we'll play without him. It's an opportunity for Kobbie Mainoo. Those of you or those of us who are clambering for Kobbie to play tonight, this is the perfect game for Kobbie to come in and play tonight. It is the perfect opportunity for Kobbie. Amorim has said that Kobbie has trained well. He should be in the first team. He should be getting the game time. This is if Kobbie Mainoo doesn't play tonight in that number 8 role, because I think he's earmarked for number 8, he's going. I don't see a way back. And as I've said on here before, we're going to have a run of games. go back before the international break and just after, we've been talking about this. We've been talking about how these players are not going to last because they're not used to playing more than one game a week, and these players are going to start to break down. We all know Casemiro is not going to last. Fernandes now is not going to last. Xerxes played 2 games, and Xerxes could be the other one that's out. So I see this as an opportunity for players. My worry is that these players have an opportunity and they're not going to grasp that opportunity. They're going to basically do what Bruno Fernandes does and just moans and just puts their arms up in the air, and they can't play. So I see this as an opportunity for Kobe. Is Kobe going to nail this place down? No. I don't think he will, but I want to see him play well tonight. If Kobe Mainoo plays well tonight, I think he's then back in that conversation, and I think he should get more game time. But I do think if Kobe Mainoo doesn't play tonight, the writing is on the wall. If Kobe Mainoo does play tonight and has a good game, then it could change everything for Kobe Mainoo. So I think it's really, really important to mention that. Now, Cunha is back tonight. Xerxes to score. I think Xerxes is the other one that's out as well. So there are reports that Xerxes is out. Maybe this is untrue. Maybe Xerxes is actually not out tonight. Maybe he will play, but there are speculations as to who is out. I think it could be Xerxes tonight. So if Xerxes is out, and as Scott says, Cunha is back tonight. If Cunha is back tonight, again, you could have Mainoo in there. It's Bruno and Mount from what I've heard. United are not winning anything. If it's Bruno, and look, if Mason Mount, hopefully Scott, you're right. Xerxes, I think, would be fantastic tonight. If that is the case, I think Cunha, Mason Mount being injured again. Look, we will wait for the team news, and I will give my opinion on Mason Mount after the game. Dino says if Cunha, legend of the chat, if Cunha is fit, he has to play. Dino, if Mason Mount is injured, Cunha's going to have to come straight back into the side. Does Ahmad play there? If Cunha's not properly fit, does Ahmad go into that 10? And Bumo, he'll play. And then will Xerxes play up front? So I think he might change it around. He might go Dorgu on the left. He might go a Dalot on the right. The funny thing is, Scott, I'm interested tonight to see what he does with that side, because he might play Ahmad, and we know what he's like when players come back from an injury. They don't necessarily go straight back into the side. So I think this could be a case of maybe Cunha starts off the bench. He plays Ahmad, Mbumo and Xerxes up front, a Dalot or as a wing back, and Dorgu on the other side. So I think you'll go Lemens tonight. I think you'll go Lemens. I think you'll go Luke Shaw, De Ligt, Yoro, Dalot, Casemiro, Mainoo, Ahmad, Mbumo and Xerxes. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does tonight. Look, we are at home tonight. I think these players, when they play at home, it shouldn't matter who goes in to this side. So look, let's see what happens on that. So let's go through the press conference as well to see what was actually said. So press conference, interesting one. So he was asked about how does he deal with social media, and he basically said, look, he doesn't watch it or listen to it. He stays away from it because it could make him doubt himself. Opinion-wise on that one, look, am I bothered about that? No, I sort of like that response in some ways. I think social media is one of those things whereby I think it's poison at times. Amorim not looking at it, I think he's wise. I think he's personally wise. His players are going to look at look at the social media, and maybe this is why at times players don't play well. When we talk about ex players, right? They never necessarily had it. When we're talking about the likes of Keane, Pallister, Schmeichel, Robson, Rooney to a degree, Mark Hughes, Kanchelskis, all these fantastic players, York Cole. Social media wasn't a thing, so we don't know. We don't know how they would behave. I do think these players suffer from it. I don't see how the club can stop them from watching social media. Can you really blanket it out? No. The club itself relies on social media as well. So, I get it. I like what Amorim says on this. I think that Amorim is right. Do I think he blankets it? Probably not. But on the whole, again, I thought the question was shit. To be fair, who really gives a crap? Now, why do we care whether or not he looks at the social media aspect? I mean, who cares? I mean, let's be fair. Who really cares? I don't. I just think that's such a you've got so many questions to ask, and you're asking about does he watch social media? So basically, are you watching TikTok? Are you watching Instagram? Do you go on to Quora? No. So look, I'm glad he answered that. He then got asked about injuries, and then of course he said Shesko, Maguire. Now Maguire could have a late fitness test, so he could be available from the bench. Cunha is back, of course. Cunha is back. Bruno, as we've spoken about, could be the one who's out. There has been speculation about Xerxes. There's speculation about Mount. Look, Mason Mount, I just assume he's injured. Right, I've heard things today myself that Mason Mount is fit. So let's just see. I think it's really hard to comment, I think, on that until we actually know. But I think it is going to come out that Bruno Fernandes is injured. Let's go through some of the comments first. If we get the win tonight, it's a big 3 points for us, with Spurs, Newcastle, Chelsea, Liverpool dropping points. And Scott, mate, this is it. This is it, right? This is it. If we're going to do anything in this league, and we're going to finish fourth, and we're going to do some stuff, right? We have to capitalise on these wins and these losses. We've got to capitalise on results. We're going to see the IQ tonight. We're going to see the mentality tonight. We didn't show it against Everton at home. Look, 10 men Everton come into our place and beating us. I don't have any faith in these players. Look, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I don't trust most of these players. I don't like a lot of these players still. And tonight, the more they win, it doesn't really seem to matter whether they win, lose, or draw. You don't know what you're going to get from the next game. So it will be such a big 3 points tonight, and maybe pushing up that league. Does that influence like how they play? The only downside for me, Scott, with that is if we get 3 points, Ineos are going to look at it and go, well, we're pushing top four. We don't need players. So I think tonight this could be a blessing in disguise. I think tonight this could be awful again. I just don't know. I just don't know what team we're going to get tonight. I hope we get a clean sheet and Xerxes and Bumo scores. I think they'll get a goal and it ends 3-1. If we get 12 to 15 points out of our next 8 games, be top four. Scott, I don't think we get 12 points, mate. I don't think we do. I think we lose. I think we can beat Wolves. I think Aston Villa is going to be a loss. I really, really do. Their home record is very, very good. I think Newcastle, I think it's going to be a very, very difficult game, even though we're at home. Bournemouth as well is going to be a tricky, tricky game. I can't predict it. You know, I will leave it for you guys to predict. I think I have to be very on the level in regards to this one. I don't know. I thought that we would get 6 from the first two. You know, we need 3 tonight. We need 3 points tonight. If we don't get 3 points tonight and we draw tonight, that's 4 points from 9. It is going. If we get 4 points from 9, I don't know. Scott says if we get 12 to 15 points from 8, we get 12 from 15 for the next 8 games. Scott, I wish I was with you. Look, let me call up the fixtures again. I should know these fixtures off by heart by now, but let me check it. Let me check it on the other computer. Okay, so what have we got? So look, let's go through this, right? So let's go through this, right? So we've got West Ham tonight. Then we've got Monday night, I think it is, Wolves away. Then we've got Bournemouth at home, Aston Villa away, and then Newcastle at home, Wolves away. And then, you know, we'll go, you know, Leeds on the 4th, Burnley on the 7th. You know, two games that are away, and then we've got City at home, and then Arsenal away. We've got to win tonight. I think it's as simple as that, Scott. I don't think for me that I can look further than the next game. For me, I don't think I can't look further than the next game. I think for me, I think I'd be silly to look further than the next game because we've got Wolves twice, and again, look, it should be 6 points. It should absolutely be 6 points. But you know me, JB, I'm optimistic. You are, mate. You. But I love that. I love it. No, I think, as I've said before, you guys should be that way. I take it each game as it comes. You know, I focus on tonight. These players need to. These players cannot think ahead. We can beat City and Arsenal. They're there for the taking because they're not playing well. Again, Scott, I admire that. Look, if United win 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if United go on a run, right, and you know, say the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, the next 10 games, and we can win a chunk of those and draw a chunk of those, I think it puts us in a good position. Now, Scott says, hypothetically, if we win all 8 games, where does that put us? So if we win, that's 30, that is 24 points. So that would be 24 points. If we win 8 of 10, so that's 20, 24 points. And that puts us up there. That puts us up there. Joe Armstrong says, I told you we would win on Sunday. We will win tonight and be comfortable doing it. We will get top 4 this season. Again, Joe, mate, I love that opinion. I really, really do. And I love the eternal optimist. In my view, in my own personal view, I don't see how anybody can predict anything at all with this team. I absolutely get it. I absolutely want you guys to be in that way. But from me personally, I don't know how anybody can predict from game to game, because we don't know. I don't know what this team is. Now, we've got to factor in this. I don't think we're factoring in injuries. I don't think we're, Mason Mount, I don't even consider him anyway. Now, Bruno Fernandes, is he injured for a game? Is he injured at all? We don't know. Is Casemiro going to last? Are we going to sign players? The AFCON is coming. Look, we're going to lose. We're losing key players here. Is Xerxes injured? So I don't see how we as a club can predict games. Now Wolves have got two points. So I agree that you can probably predict that. But tonight, West Ham, I think we can probably, or you guys can say that we will win that. Anything else, I think it's up for grabs. Aston Villa away, we beat Aston Villa away, and that for me is a turning point for me. If we beat Newcastle at home, Aston Villa away, then at that point I will be like, maybe this is a turning point tonight. Look, we've got to take this game. Well, I've got to take that game by game. Because I just don't trust this team. So and look, I fully respect the opinions on this, guys. I love the fact you get in your opinions on this. And that guy with the hair does my head in. And again, we've spoken about this, right? For me, this is the epitome of this fan base, right? Is this: we care about a guy who's not cutting his hair. I mean, I don't care less. We should be focusing here on this team winning, being professional, turning up for games. And we're talking about some guy who wants his hair cut. I mean, I couldn't give a toss. Cut his hair or not. I mean, it just goes to show, right? It just goes to show that people now are taking the piss on the basis that, he's not going to cut his hair until we win. Mate, I don't care. I really couldn't care less. He's making a mockery. He really is. I think we beat Arsenal, then they'll be there for the downfall and start to lose more games. After all, they're the kings of the bottle jobs. Let's see. Arsenal right now are a winning machine. Now I do love that take. I really, really do. I don't see it. I mean, look, we're gonna play. We're gonna play Arsenal away, so we're gonna play City at home, and then we're gonna play Arsenal away 8 games later. Maybe that will be okay for me. If we can beat one of those two and we have a good run now, look, then at that point we are in a top 4 race. Unless we sign players, I think we drop out of a top 4 race. I think it's so pivotal we sign players. I don't see how we finish top 4 without some additional players. We need, if Casemiro's out and Bruno's out, we've got Ugarte and Mainu. That's it. I don't think we get top four with a Ugarte and a Mainu. I just don't. I think if we're going to finish in this top four, I absolutely think we need to sign players. We'll be 1-1 or the game we nick a 2-1 in the 92nd minute. Do you know how hard it is to win 5 games on the bounce? Exactly that. So let's get on to the next bit. So Lenny Yoro was mentioned next. I'm just going to say this. I don't like how Amorim talks about these young players. I don't like how Amorim throws young players under the bus. I mean, you can argue and you can sort of look into this, and you can take what he says and you can spin it to whatever you like. I don't like how Amorim throws these players underneath the bus. I've never been a fan of it. I think that we need to protect these young players, and yes, they don't. Sometimes they don't have a good game. Yoro, again, players come into this side and the performances that they have, I think, are brought down by the senior players. And I think sometimes I just don't think these young players, imagine you've got a Delo in front of you. You've got a Dorgu there. I think Ahmad is okay. But I'm not surprised, and I am not this fan of him chucking players under the bus. So he said, I spoke with him because he made a mistake, and we talked through everything. He grows with games, and setbacks is not easy for a young guy. The only thing I'm going to say about this for me, so he made a mistake. Fine. Bruno Fernandes makes mistakes on a daily occurrence in a game. A Delo makes mistakes. Danny, welcome, my friend. I hope you're doing extremely well, Danny. I'm sure I've got the name right today, my friend. A Delo makes mistakes on the daily. Luke Shaw makes mistakes on the daily. Bruno Fernandes makes mistakes on the daily. These are senior professional players, right? These are senior professional players. Amorim doesn't call them out. Bruno Fernandes is his captain, right? He looks rudderless at times. He's petulant. I don't think he's particularly good, but yet he'd rather call younger players out. If you're going to call the younger players out, be consistent. Be consistent with your calling out of players. Be consistent and say Fernandes, because if you're calling players out by names, call Bruno Fernandes out. Call Luke Shaw out. Now, this media will not call out a Luke Shaw. English biased. Luke Shaw has been dog shit the whole season, right? Danny says, I'm here just coming in to hit the like button. Danny, legend. Thank you, my friend. Much appreciated. Bruno Fernandes has been dog. Luke Shaw has been dog. As we spoke about, right? This absolutely has made me laugh. This has stopped the eye twitch a little bit as well, by the way. Reports basically saying that United staff are baffled the fact that Luke Shaw is not in the England squad, doesn't get into the England squad. I mean, it beggars belief. It beggars belief that the rhetoric around Luke Shaw right now is just, I'm just trying to find a word, is unfathomable, right? I don't get it. I don't understand. I know people like Luke Shaw, and Luke Shaw does have his qualities, to be fair. But I've watched every single game. I've pretty much watched every single game. Well, in fact, I have. Luke Shaw does some things well, but on the whole, he's been abjectly awful. Bruno Fernandes, and yeah, people can say the assists on the Crystal Palace game. He literally laid a ball off to Mason Mount. That is not a fucking assist. He put a ball over the top for a Xerxes to run onto it. Xerxes had all of the hard work to do. It was nothing to do with that pass from Bruno. It was all to do with the fact that Xerxes took a good touch and finished it. He had so much to do. Fernandes he's been awful all season. So the fact that Amorim is calling out a Euro, he never calls out these senior players. So again, I will defend Amorim to a certain degree. I like him. I am Amorim in, but I don't like this calling out of young players. Dalot was the next subject. Oh, Dalot and Amorim. Oh, Amorim, and again, this is where Amorim for me is just. Danny says, I have a feeling that Bruno's going to be out today. I don't know. I think he could be. Scott says, good, we will play better. I think the jury's out on that for me, Scott. Dalot was spoken about. I mean, Scott's right. Friends, Portuguese, friends, Portuguese friends, friends. Friends, Bruno, Portuguese friends, friends. That is what it is. Dalot steals a living biggest con artist in. Listen to what Amorim said about this. He is a powerful and versatile player. He plays every international game and can play either side. And this is the problem laid bare. This is the problem laid bare for me. Those of you who are Amorim out, I sympathise. I sympathise with you. Amorim, Bruno and Amorim, pivot pals. Pivot pals. Friends. This for me is comments like that which makes me question Amorim. But when I say I'm Amorim, I am managering, right? Doesn't mean I'm blindly Amorim. Doesn't mean I'm blindly. Part of the reason, the new the new one, JB. Pivot friends. For me, when we're talking about a coach, I am not a fan of this biased shit. Luke Shaw is not great. Bruno is not great. Dalot tells you. Look, Amorim is telling you everything you need to know about him. He's calling him powerful, versatile, plays well, plays every international game, and can play either side. I'm Ruben. I am sorry, mate. I don't know what you see. It's biased. It is completely biased, and these are the little things. The fact that he's calling out younger players. He won't call out this senior group. He speaks about Portuguese players. They're this powerful. I am. It concerns me. It really concerns me. About the bias in this team. It concerns me that Amorim is clearly biased. Amorim is clearly reliant on certain senior players. I don't know what he sees. I don't know what he sees in that player. It's only biased to me. I simply don't know what Amorim sees in that sort of player. It is concerning. It is concerning. And I think tonight again is going to show you tonight where Amorim is at. I think it's going to show you tonight, if Bruno Fernandes is out, it's going to show you what he is all about tonight. If Kobe Mainoo doesn't start tonight, it tells you exactly where he is with that. If Euro doesn't play tonight, I think it tells you where he's at with that. Tonight for me is going to be about what team does he play. So I am interested tonight, probably more than the result. Look, 3 points to me is important, but I'm looking at the future. I'm looking at what is Amorim going to do? What is Amorim going to when his players are out, and we're going to be down to the bare bones. What is Amorim going to do to respond? But he says if Amorim starts winning, I'm happy. Let's not forget the rot comes from the Glazers. Glazers out. We all know, and I will save it. I am going to do a Glazer Ineos show about 3 o'clock today. So if you can join me for that, that will be fantastic. Or is it 4 o'clock? I'm going to do the show that I started to do yesterday, and that's going to be the time. That's going to be the time tonight. This afternoon, I'm going to talk about Ineos and the Glazers. I'm going to put to bed all this crap that's coming out about signings. Again, I get sent clips and that sort of stuff. Yesterday, I saw a bunch of stuff saying that Ineos are not going to make signings, Ineos are crap, Ineos are this, and then today we've got, United are going to sign this, and United are going to sign that. Like, no wonder this fan base is in a spin. I'm not going to go too much in on the Glazers now, because, as I say, there's going to be a show about 3 or 4 o'clock today. The reason why we're in this mess, and if we want to finish top 4, Spinios, Danny, they are Spinios. We've spoken about this before. Spinchester, we are right now. If we want to finish top 4, we need to sign players. I think we need to. I think we need at least 2 players. If we don't sign players, and we are down to the bare bones, which we are, we're not finishing top 4. I think if we don't finish top 4 this season, we don't finish top 6. This is squarely on Ineos and the Glazers. The Glazers still own this club. The Glazers still pull the strings. When we're talking about the cash side of things, the Glazers are still pulling the strings. We are £34 million loss. We've got 500 million of transfer spend we still need to pay. 800 million pounds we service debt. Hala Madrid says, hello, bro. Hello, my friend. Hope you're doing extremely well. Stephanie, legend, Welsh legend of a fellow Welsh legend. You are a legend. And if we don't finish top 4 this season and Ineos decide not to do anything in the market, they are to blame. They are squarely to blame as it stands. I believe it's going to be there's no value in the market, 100%. Hello, it's me, the French. Hello, my friend. Hope you're doing extremely well. You have to, Stephanie, she is a moderator in most channels. So Stephanie, if you want to do that on this channel, Steph, just let me know and I'll happily make you one as well. So Stephanie, let me know if you want to be a mod. I'm happy for you to be a mod. Just let me know in the chat, Stephanie, and I will make you a moderator. Danny says they should be finalising the deals now, but they come up with some daft excuses why they're not, and the sheep will listen and follow the BS. They do. They do. That made me laugh. It's me, the French legend. Make her a mod. Look, Stephanie has to confirm herself. I'll happily make her a mod, but as she's a fellow Welsh legend, Stephanie, if you confirm, I will make you a moderator, my friend. So look, if we're going to make top 4, and we're just going to have this discussion now, I'm going to do a show about 4 o'clock-ish, and we'll talk about that. I was partly doing the show yesterday, got 20 minutes into the show, and basically YouTube just destroyed me. So I am going to do that show again, and I'll do it. I'll do it today. Danny, catch you later, pal. Mate, catch you later. That's okay with me. Thank you, guys. Stephanie is a legend. Here we go. Here we go. There you go. Stephanie, thank you, legend. And I do appreciate it. Joe King says 2-4. Look, I'm. That's the press conference done, really. The only other thing that Amorim was basically saying that these players have to basically have to step up. No shit, Sherlock. And again, Amorim, the more these conferences go on, and look, I do know that we've got a lot of no, Stephanie, thank you. We know these players have to step up. I know the conferences for Amorim come thick and fast. There you go. There you go. Stephanie, legend. Can't lie, this is the most lightweight United squad I've ever seen. It is Joe. It is Joe. It is. I am worried. When we talk about top four, and then we talk about winning the next games, and we should beat Wolves, we should beat. If we get more injuries, if Casemiro is injured, a 34-year-old Casemiro is injured, right? We've got Ugarte, Kobe Mainu. Kobe Mainu is not a 6. Ugarte is barely a 6. Where do we get the other midfielders from? If Ugarte then gets injured, who plays in that position? So it's so fundamental to Ineos. And if I can, if I could speak to them, bring some of the budget forward. I know, Anderson's not coming. Let's be clear on this. Simon says, good afternoon. Please, no more injuries. We'll be down to the bare bones. Steph, you are mod on the United stand? Nah. I think Steph was more quality than that. I'm only kidding, Stephanie. Clearly a trust and a legend of this channel as well. So, I am baffled. Let's talk about today. Simon says we have to sign some midfielders. We do, Simon. I will keep that. I've got an Ineos show that I am going to do. I am going to go all out on that show again. I think we need to bring back in the Glazers and the Ineos conversation. I will do that at 4 o'clock. We defo need some reinforcements in Jan, but I can't see it, sadly. Agreed completely. I just don't see it. I think, again, it's going to be no value in the market. There is some stuff that come out from Luckhurst. There is some stuff that come out from ESPN as well. And again, I say that for the show. I'm going to go off on one as well. Belaber and Gallagher in the January window. Scott, ever the eternal optimist. I don't see it, my friend. I will backtrack after the show I'm going to do today. If we do that, I will happily say Ineos are serious. Like I keep saying, I've said this before, right? If you spend the money now, it's almost like this, right? For the sake of spending, let's just say, Belaber, you agree 60 million over 4 or 5 years, right? That's going to be 20 million, say 15 million in this window. So that's 15 million quid. If you get a Gomez deal done, potentially, or a Gallagher deal, because Gallagher's going to cost you 23 million. Let's just say you do that one over 2 or 3 years. Again, that's another what? 8 million quid. If you do 23 million pounds in this window, And that means that gets you top four. You get £100 million for that. And that's not to mention the extra sponsors. That's not to mention the extra deals that can be done. Yes, your wage structure will increase. But if you factor in the extra games, right? You factor in the extra games, you factor in Carabao Cup games, you factor in FA Cup games, you factor in the Champions League games. We can buy more players, we'll have a bigger squad, therefore we'll be better, therefore we'll go further into the competitions, we'll have more home games, we'll have more games, right? You're going to make more close to 175 million, 200 mil for the sake of spending 20 million now, 25 million now. It is if any progressive club would do that, and because that people and the club are not thinking in terms of that, right? It's not just about signing players to finish fourth. If we sign players, we could finish fourth. That's 100 million straight away. There are more home games to consider. We get better players. You get better players. It means you go further into competitions. You have a bigger squad. It means that different players can play. We can bring different players into the squad. Carabao Cup games, you get further into that, which is whether people value the Carabao Cup games or not. If you get a home tie, that is a full house. You make the same amount of money playing at home in the Carabao Cup as you do in a Champions League game. That's just fact. So this is why the Carabao Cup games are so important, because of if we get home ties, you go further into the competition. FA Cup, the further you go into that. So imagine if you had a scenario, you sign 2 players now, maybe you sign a couple in, so we secure fourth. We finish top 3, top 4. Better players want to come in. You get those better players. You then attract more players. You know you're in the Champions League, Carabao Cup. It makes total sense as to why you would buy players. If we ignore this window and we try to limp over the season with these players, we're not getting top 4. We're not getting top 4. I think these next 8 games will show you where the squad is at. If we by some fluke manage to win these games, which we won't do, it is going to paper the cracks. So this is why, for me, I think it's so important to win these games. Simon says, time to give the moths their freedom from our wallet and do some late Christmas shopping. Simon, I love it. Joe says, I have to say that United is a big club to put up with Amorim and the inconsistency. I'm not a United fan, but it's sad that nobody fears us anymore. It should be that way. It is, Joe. It really is. I'm pretty sure I used to talk to you on there as well. David, legend of the channel, Yo JB, drown your sorrows. I wish I could, Matt. I don't drink that much, so Scott must have been my stunt double. Now that we are in the silly season, how much can you get for Ugarte, Sancho? He still plays short, and Menu. So, look, we've spoken about this as well. The interesting thing for me on this, and we can, we can talk about this as well now. There are 2 things at play, right? Grace is in the chat. Legend. If we sold Dalot, we could make 500 million. Grace. Grace. I love Grace. I love Grace's. I love her commitment to a player. Grace, legend, and I love that. So Simon, there is talk of, and I've seen bits and clips as well of channels saying, "Oh, we're going to have a clear out. We're going to get rid of 10 players next season. We're going to bring in Ineos. Are gonna spend money. They're going to get rid of these players." Fuck off! What a load of shit, right? I'll come back to this. So these are the players, in my view, that can go. Sancho is going to go out of contract. We're not going to get a penny for him. He's got an optional year on this deal. We are not triggering that deal. So Sancho will go and we will save the wages. Fantastic. Maguire is coming to the end of his contract. He can go. Casemiro is coming to the end of his contract. Possibly he can go. You've got Heaton that's coming to the end of his contract, and possibly Bruno Fernandes could be sold. That is it, folks. That is absolutely it. Luke Shaw is contracted here till 2027. No one's going to buy him. Mason Mount's got a contract till 2027. No one's going to buy him. Xerxes, 2028. Ugarte, 2028. Højlund, who, by the way, is not guaranteed to leave, 2028. Rashford, who apparently is coming back, 2028. We are not a good selling club. These players are on contracts. How can you make these players leave? Delo is on till 2027 as well. These players, if they don't want to leave, they will not leave. And there is nothing that we can do. Ugarte, who's going to buy him? Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw is going to be here until the end of his contract. Mason Mount's going to be here to the end of the contract as well. There is nobody going to buy this place. So this rhetoric and this spin, and channels are going to go like heavy on this. Do not believe it. It is a low. Ineos are not that club, right? The Glazers are not those people. They are sacking people. They are penny pinching. They won't give free lunches to the staff members that work there. Why are they going to sell these players at a loss? They're not going to pay off Luke Shaw. They're not going to pay off Ugarte. They can't make a book loss on these players, right? So unless they can basically break even on these players, they are not going to sell them, right? And as for this clear out that we had in terms of this, like the bomb squad, right? And this clear out that Amorim had, and this is the second one, right? He didn't have a first clear out, right? Garnacho was sold under price, and Anthony went for a cut price. The other players are still here. Rashford has not been sold. Apparently he's going to come back. Malacia will go for free. Sancho is still here. Højlund wasn't part of that bomb squad, but like he's still here. The only players from that bomb squad are 5 or 6. Only 2 players were actually sold. Amorim didn't have a clear out. You can argue we cleared out players on loan, but Amorim didn't have a clear out. It is a load of nonsense that makes me laugh. So, you know, it is ridiculous. I hear Delo merchandise is very, yeah, Grace, it is because you're the one that buys it all. I'm just picturing that 4th place in our victory tonight. Time to go bubble bursting. Simon, West Ham, like Everton always save the best performances for us. Stunt double and Jack. Simon says Old Trafford used to be the fortress. We were the club that every defender dreads. Let's not get into it yet. 500. I'm a loyal golden retriever. Rashford to go on loan against his Bobby, but I think we're better than Doc though. Delo will die here. Fresh says, will you change your stance on Luke Shaw remains the best defender at the club? Now look, Fresh, I respect your opinion, right? I respect that opinion. I know people like Shaw, right? And again, this is a channel that I have my opinion, you guys have yours. I respect your opinion. And if you genuinely believe Luke Shaw is our best defender, I get it, right? People like players. I would not change my mind on Luke Shaw. The guy was out for 2 years. I think he's played in 11 years. I think he's played, I think this is right, like 300 games, I think. The guy's injured. The guy plays for contracts. The guy, for me, he was injured the whole of last season, and then came back for England, and then was out again for a couple of weeks. Luke Shaw has no pace. I will say this: when Luke Shaw is 1-on-1 and he's standing up a player, his positional sense when he does that is great. His tackling is good, but he has to tackle because of the mistakes that he makes. He's got no pace. Other than standing players up, he's not our best defender. I've seen this time and time again this season, and again, I will say this: I've watched him like from the pre-season games. The guy gets caught out every game. He has to he has to come deep. That sounds wrong. He has to stay deep because he doesn't have pace. He gets caught out all of the time. And look, I respect that opinion. For me, Luke Shaw is nowhere near the best defender. This is my view. We've been so starved for good players that because Luke Shaw, heaven hasn't come on potentially. Martinez has been injured. If we get an average to good centre back, you will see how bad Luke Shaw is. Rangers protest Celtic Catholics, his sister, as United have to fire a lot of staff a few months. People like Shaw, Sancho can help clean out the changing rooms in Celtics. Why so negative? Ineos are doing their best. 2 wins against West Ham and Wolves. We're in a title race. Grace, and again, well, look, it doesn't matter to me in terms of, look, that's your opinion, and I respect that opinion. I'm hoping that's tongue-in-cheek, Grace, just because I'm just hoping that it is. Look, no, Grace, I completely have a different opinion to that. I'll go if you're around today, 3 or 4 o'clock. I'm going to go into the Glazers. I'll give you a quick overview. Ineos are not doing their best. Ineos shouldn't even be here. Ineos, this football inside, we've got a win ratio under the Glazers of 38%, and we're going into their second season. It is an abject disaster. They cannot sell players. They haven't bought the right players. I think the football inside is a myth. This excellence is a myth. We have a bare bones side. They brought in a coach. We play completely different system to the coach they brought him in, and it has absolutely, this team is upside down. Ineos have been sacking staff, and again, you could argue, were we staff heavy? Possibly. They see this club as a business and not a football club. Ineos are, in my view right now, are a disaster. I don't get any. I dread every minute that Delo is on the pitch and he plays tonight. He could cost us a goal. Ineos spent 200 on a manager who finished 15th and lost in the Europa League final. He's lucky to have got the money. And again, Grace, look, that's your opinion. Grace, we needed that money spending. Whatever coach came in, like this is the thing, right? Whatever coach comes in needed the money spending, right? So if it is their guy, it is their coach. They have to back him. Grace, he wasn't backed, right? Shesko wasn't his player. Cunha wasn't the player. The 200 million pounds that they spent on these players, they were in your signings. They weren't like his signings. You can argue that 200 million pounds is being backed. It was, he wasn't backed on the basis he wanted a Quenda, he wanted a Gyökeres, he wanted some midfield players. I get it, Grace, but 200 million pounds doesn't even touch the side. When you look at Liverpool spent £500 million. Saboli, when he came into the Chelsea squad. He spent £1.5 billion over 2 seasons. That is backing. This club, in terms of players, needs at least £500 million on players. He was not backed, Grace. I disagree. Someone says, hey man, Fresh says Luke Shaw has no pace. That is completely false. He actually is quick for a big lump. Fresh, I don't know what you're watching, mate. He's got no pace, mate. He literally, if you watch the games that we play, the guy has no pace. Luke Shaw stays back because he has to. Forest game, I don't know if you watched that. There was a ball put over the top, and Luke Shaw gets roasted most of the time. So Fresh, look, mate, I respect that opinion. I don't know what games that you watch. Luke Shaw is dog shit and he's slow. Glazer spent the money exactly. Madrid, Barcelona. Coming deep is good. And Grace, yeah, it is because Luke Shaw has to come deep because good morning, mate. I bet Maguire wishes he could play, but I don't think you see him in January. I wonder if Shaw can have back-to-back good games. Tell me who's faster than Luke Shaw. He's our fastest centre-back by a mile. Maguire, De Ligt, Martinez haven't all slower than Shaw. Lowered because Fresh, mate. I don't know what you're watching. I don't know. I don't know. Luke Shaw is nowhere near our fastest centre back, mate. I don't know where you get that from, mate. He is. I just don't know, mate. And again, you probably watch different. You watch football in a different way to me, mate. Luke Shaw is not fast. Luke Shaw is not quick. Still can't get my head around why we sold Amraman Bissaka before Delo. Shaw, he was superb defensively. Now used to being up. It is it is baffling to me. I'm picturing that 4th place victory. I wonder what the bench will be like tonight. Yeah. Let's hope we see more, mainly if he plays in the second half. JB, are Maguire and Shesko still absent? Yes, they are. Maguire is still absent. Ten Hag got over 600 million. And the fans wanted him out and still playing rubbish football. I'm faster than Luke Shaw. Ten Hag won 2 trophies and the fans still wanted him out. Like Grace, I think that the majority of fans, or a big chunk of fans, want Amrin out. I think I'm not Amrin out. I am the manager in, but I do think a big chunk of a big chunk of the fans want him out as well. So look, guys, I'm going to go. Another fantastic show. Thank you so much for being here. I am going to do another show about 3 or 4 o'clock. I can't remember what time I put it in today. That sounds wrong again. But yeah, I will be back about 4 o'clock, and then I'll do a watch along tonight, and then I'll do a match reaction to that as well. So look, guys, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Amazing. Thank you as always. And yeah, I will be back with another show. And again, I did start that show yesterday, and yes, I will be back. So I want you to bring in your Ineos, your Glazers, your transfer stuff. Simon says we win 3-1. Have a good afternoon. Oh yes, so guys, I will be back this afternoon. You're going to get sick of me this afternoon. So yeah, thank you, Simon, legend as well. And look, guys, this channel doesn't exist without you. And guys, one of the things that I love, the comment today that Luke Shaw is fast and Luke Shaw is good. Nothing wrong with that opinion, right? I've got nothing against that opinion at all. I almost like those opinions that are really different to mine, polar opposite to mine. People watch football in a completely different way just because I don't agree. Yeah, Gray says that Luke Shaw does come deep, and I've been saying that as well. Take that away with you. So, guys, I'll be back this afternoon. Have a good rest of your afternoon. I will be back in a bit. So look, guys, thank you so much, and I'll see you very, very soon. Take care.